Hello, hopefully you're getting me. I'm having a couple of technical difficulties, but it looks like we are a go. So tonight I am going to talk about equalization. So a few people have asked me about this, so I'm going to go through all of your equalization questions, all of your equalization problems in 20 minutes. I need some more light. Okay, that's better. You can now see me. Okay, so first up, just to mention EY Sailing. Big up EY Sailing. Thank you very much for helping us out last year and again this year. We've got a couple of trips booked with them. So our Ionian Island trips are run, the yacht is run by EY Sailing, so thanks to you guys for helping us out. Okay, so let's cut to the chase. There are 3 things that can limit a dive. There are only 3 things that can limit a dive: equalization, breath hold, and fear. That's it. And all our Freedive training is working on those 3 things that can limit a dive. That's it. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking about breath hold and fear. This week, I'm going to be talking about equalization. Now, what we must be honest about is that all of these 3 things are just symptoms. They're all just symptoms. That means if somebody comes up from a dive and you say, why did you turn? And they say, I couldn't equalize. There's always got to be a reason why they couldn't equalize. So you always have to ask, why? Why couldn't you equalize? Because without that question and answer, there's no way to move forwards. Now, you've heard me say it time and time again, honesty. And if somebody's honest with you, or honest with themselves more importantly, then they can get to the nub of it and they can work on it. So, I can't equalize. Why can't you equalize? Now, a lot of people say, I'm limited by my equalization, or I can't equalize. I have trouble with equalization. That's a classic. I have trouble with my equalization. Well, here's the second heads up. Everybody has problems with their equalization because there are only 3 limiting factors. So it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner, going down, kind of down on your first ever free dive with an instructor, or whether you're Guillaume Neri or Alexei Molchanov. It doesn't matter. It's still the limiting factor is going to be one of those 3 things, and it's equalization is quite a big one of those 3 things. So it's not a problem equalizing, it's just you are learning the next equalization. And that doesn't matter whether it's your first equalization, at 2 or 3 meters, trying to get to the bottom of a swimming pool or whatever it is, or whether it's a world record breaking equalization to get to 129 meters. And when I was working with Herbert Nietzsche, he solved the problem how to equalize at 200 meters. It was a problem that we had to work with, and we solved it. That allowed him to do it. And when I was working with Loic, he wanted to get those. He didn't want to use an equox, so he had to come around other ways to equalize at 180 meters. And he had to find that skill, that technique to equalize at, to make his dive possible. So it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner, world champion, equalization is going to be one of your limiting factors. Okay? So it's really super important to understand that this happens. Now, equalization. Okay. In principle, It's very simple. Get air and use air. That's it. Okay? It's very, very simple. Get air and use it. Now, I'm going to go into the details and mechanics of it in a while, but as long as you're aware that they are the two things you've got to do. You've got to get air and you've got to use it. We'll talk about the mechanics of what you're trying to do with it, use it, how you're trying to use it later. Now, don't get caught up in the technicalities of it, and I get so many people, Frenzel and Valsalva and this and that, and looking at opening their mouths in front of mirrors, etc., etc. Physics states certain things, okay, and we're going to look at the physics in a little bit more detail in a second. But one of the things is that if you've got a full lung full of air, you can just hold your nose and squeeze the air from your diaphragm, from your chest, into your ears, okay? And it just works if you've got a full lung full of air. So that means every scuba diver can do this, because if they haven't got a lung full of air, doesn't matter how deep they are, they can just get a full lung full of air and squeeze you in the diaphragm and the chest. Air goes straight from the lungs straight into the ears. Okay, so that's not really what we're talking about, because we are splitting it into getting air and using it. When you're scuba diving or full lung full of air, you don't need to get the air or use it. You can just do it in one movement. Okay, so this works down to I don't know, 4 meters. I mean, let's be clear here. If you can swim down to 4 meters, deep swimming pool. If you can get to the bottom of a deep swimming pool, you have equalised. I get a lot of people saying, I can't equalise. And well, let's see you dive, and they go down 4 or 5 meters, and you go, you have equalised. Okay, but you may not be equalising correctly, but you definitely have equalised. So, full lung full of air, you can squeeze the air straight into your ears, fine, or into your mask and in your ears and your sinuses. In fact, everything you have to equalise. So this works if you're scuba or if you're down to 4, 5, 6, 7 meters, something like that. When you go a bit deeper, you haven't got a full lung full of air, so you have to separate it into getting the air from the lungs into the mouth. Okay? So you suck the air out, because you can't squeeze it. You have to suck it. And then you have to use your mouth, the pressure of your mouth, to get it into the ears, using it. Okay. Now, people go, I've had people coming to me saying, by the way, incidentally, Valsalva and Frenzel are misnamed. They are not the technical, what freedivers describe using those two names are not technically what they are. So that's why I don't do it. I don't teach it. You don't need to know it. You don't need to, don't worry about it. And I get people who dive in, 20, sometimes 30 meters, and they'll say, oh, I haven't learned, friends or whatever it is. You don't need to go that deep to learn, to equalise correctly. And if you go deeper than, say, 10 meters or so, then you have to equalise correctly. If you can go past 10 meters, that's it. You don't have to worry about Frenzel and Valsalva, etc., etc. You don't have to worry about that, because you're doing it correctly. It doesn't matter which one you're doing. You can only do one if you go past 10 meters, and that's the correct one. That's it. That's why the courses, the agencies require 16-meter dive, because it proves that you are equalising correctly. You can't just squeeze with the chest and the diaphragm and equalise and get to 16 meters. You can't do it. Physics states you can't do that. And physiology states you can't do it. Incidentally, and this is just me, I don't sign people off when they've done a 16-meter dive. And this is why I don't believe I don't feel comfortable doing a course in 2 days. Because I will only sign people off when they can comfortably and repeatedly go to 16 meters. And this is for AIDA. I don't have, and all our courses, we don't have any depth requirements. It's knowledge and awareness that we sign people off on. Okay. But if you do want AIDA or SSI or Apnea Academy, which I can sign you off for, and some people want that for certain reasons, that's fine. But I will only sign you off if you can comfortably and repeatedly dive to, say, 16 meters. Whereas if you're constrained by 2 days of course, you could damage your ears and still get signed off because you made it to 16 meters. I don't want to ever sign somebody off because they made it once. I want to sign people off because they can do it comfortably and repeatedly. This is all beside the point. The reason they pick 16 meters is because it shows you're equalizing correctly. So, but you don't need to do it in 16 meters wall. You can do it in a swimming pool. Check this out. On the side of the swimming pool with your buddy, because you're not going to do it on your own. If it's a deeper swimming pool, 4 meters, 3-4 meters is perfect. Okay, you can do it shallower, but go down the deep end, or if they have a dive pit, you can use that. If you can equalize, head down to the bottom. Okay, or rather, if you can get to the bottom without hurting your ears, then you've equalized. Breathe out and go down head first to the bottom. Okay, because if you've breathed out, that's me squeezing my chest and my diaphragm. And I can then, it still equalize as I go down. I'm clearly not using my chest and my diaphragm as the pressure increases, because before I did the dive, I used them as much as I could. So you can learn to do deep equalization. Anybody can learn to do deep equalization in a deepish swimming pool. Okay? Anything more than 3 meters is perfect. And a buddy. That's it. Okay? And there's 2 things you need to do. You need to get the air up, and you need to use it. So, I've talked extensively about getting the air out of the lungs. It's called unpacking. Okay? Slightly different to reverse packing. We call it unpacking because we do it slightly differently, and it's very specific. Number 1, unpack. You make a noise. That's it. I've done 2. Why do I make a noise? Because I'm sucking the air out of my lungs using my tongue, my cheek. Anybody can do it. If you can close your mouth and make a noise. That's it. And the fact that there's a noise means there's air passing over the larynx. Therefore, air is coming out of the lungs and going into your mouth. Number 1, done, tick. And when you're diving, so you can practice it now, but when you're diving, when you're going down and you're diving down, and if you unpack, then you know you have got air. You have taken air from the lungs into the mouth. Number 1, tick, done. Number 2, using the air. We'll talk about that in a minute. In fact, I'll talk about it now. I have my middle ear, tympanic membrane. Right? Middle ear full of air. Middle ear is attached to the back of the throat using this stretchy material or tube called eustachian tube. Now, if you listen carefully, that's just me squeezing it like this next to the microphone. And as it unsticks, it makes a click. If you yawn now, I've started, so I couldn't stop. If you start to yawn, you'll hear a click in your ears. You can do it when you swallow or when you move your jaw. Some people say move your jaw. You can hear a click. All of that is the same as this. The eustachian tube is unsticking. Okay? Second thing, we want to straighten the eustachian tube. Okay? Which means eustachian tube down here. Now, if I do this, stretching, no air's going to get up it. Okay? So you've got to make sure it's nice and straight. Chin tucked in. Neutral spine. We say neutral spine. Chin tucked in. And this means as the pressure is put on the tympanic membrane, okay, if we release the pressure and straighten the tube, the eardrum goes back. Okay. If you've got air there and the tubes are open and straight, the air will go up. Even if you're head down, air will go there. You may need to create a little bit of extra pressure because the tube is going down and air wants to go up, so it wants to come from the ears into the mouth. Okay. And you create that pressure with the mouth. Using the cheeks, the tongue, the jaw. Now, we have been through this on these live streams. Bombilla, a straw. ETT, a balloon. I'm not going to talk about it now. They're in other live streams. These are the tools you need to learn how to create the pressure and move the air around, and how to strengthen those skills. And that's it. Bombilla, ETT. Use them. So it's a straw and a balloon. That's all you need to practice. And you can do that dry. Okay, so what you're doing is you're creating a little bit of pressure. See, middle ear, okay, your station tube. While I'm sitting here in front of you, which ear is this? It's going to be this one. It's like this. As soon as I turn upside down, it's going to be like this. Okay, so you need to create a little bit of pressure here to put a little bit of air into that middle ear. Okay. You don't want to push out the tympanic membrane too much, but you can create a little bit of pressure or moving air into that. That's it. Okay. Now, I've got some notes here, and I'm going to look at them, and I've crossed them out, and so I've got to think a bit. Saying there are 3 reasons why people have problems equalizing. 3 reasons. Number 1, lack of flexibility. I've done those. I've done bedtime stretches. I'll put the link in the description to bedtime stretches that will increase the flexibility that will allow you to go deeper. Flexibility, one reason why people can't equalize. Number 2, tension. Okay, so that's all these muscles being tense won't allow these station tubes to open up, or bad technique. Your head's looking up. You're going to have the tension in your station tubes. Can't equalize. Right? And I've taught thousands of people, thousands, and I can name 4. I was thinking about it earlier. 4 people who I couldn't tell them to release tension. Out of all the thousands of people I've taught and worked with, there's only 4 of them who couldn't release any tension. There are other 1,000 people can release tension somewhere. Those 4 people obviously went on to, well, not went on, but were setting world records. So unless you're setting world records, you can release tension. And most people aren't aware of it. Comes back to awareness. And then quite a few people aren't honest about it. Oh yeah, no, especially when it comes to fear. You're scared of the dark, or scared of the depth, or scared of the fish, or scared of something. So what's that playing into? Hello. Honesty and awareness. The 2 big words, honesty and awareness. So, there are 3 reasons. So most people, I've only mentioned 2. Most people, it's either flexibility or tension. There is a third reason, which some people, and that's advanced techniques, which, again, I'm going to talk about physics in a minute. I'll come to that. But most people, flexibility, which you can do dry, chest flexibility, diaphragmatic flexibility makes no difference to your equalization, no matter what anybody tells you. Physically, it can't, and I've proved that. I've gone through that in deep equalization lectures. So it's flexibility and tension. And tension comes in through bad technique or fear. That's it. So as long as you're honest, as long as you're aware and honest, then you can work on that. So how do you get awareness? You have to start with honesty. How do you get honesty? Get rid of ego, which means you've got to dive with friends. And get rid of numbers. Because as soon as numbers are involved, it doesn't matter how much you think, I'm chilling with my friends, but he's just done 26 meters. I want to do 28 meters. Bam! Instantly numbers come into it. Okay. Get rid of numbers. Get rid of that. Right. Dive with friends. Come back to honesty. And then you can start looking at why you're tense. Okay? Or your friends can tell you. And I'm saying, of thousands of people I've taught, they say, your head was up. Oh, yeah, but I had to see where the fish, I had to see where I'm going. I had to see this, I had to see that. And you go, well, if you know your head is back, but you've come to me telling me I can't equalise. There's a mismatch here, isn't there? You're telling me that you knew your head was back, but you're also telling me you don't know why you can't equalise. I'm telling you that's why you couldn't equalise, but then you're coming back, yeah, but I have to see where I'm going. Well, then you can't equalise. You can't do them both. Okay, and that's just people. Again, it's that kind of wanting not to be wrong, ego kind of thing coming in. All irrelevant right now. Okay, so all of your problems will be flexibility or tension, and possibly advanced techniques. Now, advanced techniques, what do I mean by advanced techniques? Well, physics states that there are certain depth, and I'm not going to give you those numbers because I'm not going to give you those numbers. Any instructor worth their salt knows at least the first 4 depths where physics states things happen. Okay. In fact, I've already given you some of those numbers. If you've been at the bottom of a swimming pool, like 4 meters or so, then you've equalized. That's the first depth. If you've got to the bottom of the swimming pool, 4 meters. If you've gone past 8, 10 or something, then you've equalized correctly. And let me get this straight. If you can equalize to, whatever, 12, 15, whatever it is, that technique is the correct technique to get you to 100 meters. That's it. There's some finessing and some polishing and some tweaking. But effectively, you've got the skills there to get you to 100 meters. That's it. As we go on a little bit deeper, things start happening that you have to be aware of. You don't necessarily need to know what they are, but you need to be aware of them. Comes back to honesty. You come back from the dive, somebody says, why'd you turn? Then you say, I don't know why I turned. It just felt different. Dive again. Come back. Why'd you turn? I don't know. It just felt different. Again, this is without the numbers. Of course, with the numbers, why'd you turn? I don't know. Let me put it a bit deeper. Let me go a little bit deeper. No, because you haven't worked out why you turned on the last dive yet. Honesty. Awareness. So, somewhere 28, 32, I'll give you that one for free. We know physics states something happens there because after that it's classified as a deep dive with freediving. And that's because physics states something happens there. And I'm telling you now, there's no real technique needed there. It's awareness, relaxation. When we say relaxation, we mean release of tension. Okay? In most cases. So awareness, release of tension. And you will feel tense because things change. So you come back and, oh, something changed. Yeah. I'll do that dive again. Let me feel it again. So you do it again. Feel it. Become aware of it. Embrace it. And there's some other numbers. Other depths that physics states things change. But essentially, the skills you've got to get you to whatever it is, 15, 12, 15, whatever. Those skills are the ones that are going to get you to 100 meters. You need to polish them. You need to become aware of things changing. But nothing else. And you can polish those things back in the pool. So you go on a trip, deep trip, find out I can't get air up. You can't make a noise. You can't unpack. Flexibility. There's no point in diving anymore. Go back to the pool. Get your flexibility up. Okay, I can get the air up. I can unpack. But I can't make use of the air. Well, maybe if you had a little unpack, like I can only get a little bit up. You haven't got much air in the mouth. You have to move from a M block, so to a T block. Try and equalise now against your lips. Don't have to hold your nose when you're on dry land, but you can. Oh, I can feel it. Using my cheeks. As if I'm saying the word M. Then try again with T block. As if you're saying a ta. Okay? All you're doing is blocking the air from coming out of your mouth with your lips or your tongue. And there's less air above your tongue. You need less air, you can do that deeper. And then finally, K block. I'm not using my tongue. That's what I'm showing by doing that. I'm just not using my tongue. I'm not looking deep in my mouth. Don't need to ever do that. Just like, because there's even less air trapped. So you can do that deeper. And play with these. Play with them in the pool. Empty lung, equalise to the bottom, head first. Empty lung, equalise to the bottom, head first. With your mouth open. Instantly you're not using an M block. You're not using your lips, you're using your tongue or you're in some way. That's it. That is it. But flexibility, big one. Tension, big one. Polishing your techniques, not so big. Not so big. Important, yes, and you need to work on it. Not so big. Anyway, so hopefully that clears up a few misnomers about equalization. I will leave some links in the description to bedtime stretches for flexibility and deeper equalization techniques, which are a little bit kind of more in depth. But effectively, there are 3 things that limit your dive. They are, pop quiz, what are they? Equalization, breath hold, and fear. Oh, hang on a sec. I've got a equalization, breath hold, and fear. But these are all symptoms. And you have to ask yourself, why couldn't I equalize? So you've got to do some tests. Could you unpack? No, I couldn't. Then it's flexibility. End off. Go home. Do some flexibility exercises. That's it. Okay. And the second thing are, get air and use it. They're the 2 parts to equalization. That is it. Get air and use it. Don't get hooked up on the technicalities of it or naming it or even, if you're down to 15, 16 meters, you're using the correct equalization. It doesn't matter what it's called. You're using the correct equalization. Polish it, practice it. That's it. Get air, unpack. Use it, equalize. Open new station tubes, soften the eustachian tubes, the air will go in your ears. That's it. It is that simple, although it's not that easy. Does that make sense? It's super simple, not that easy. Please, any questions, post them, and I will try and get back to you. And I will get back to you. If you post a question in the comments, I guarantee I'll answer it. Yeah, if it goes viral, I suppose maybe I won't. But that's a different problem. And I don't think, I don't think I can cope with a few thousand comments. So we're good to go. I promise I will answer your questions if you post it down below. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. And I'm going to be talking about the other two. So that's breath hold and fear. The other two limits. So we've talked about equalization, so breath hold and fear. I'm going to be talking about them next week.